And then to the point you're talking about people being exploited, that is so true. I honestly, when I think back to when I was in high school, my dream in life was to become a famous singer. And now I look back and I'm so glad that I did not pursue it in that way, only because I know I would have gotten taken advantage of. And that's even in a more controlled, quote unquote, environment or industry, I guess. But it's controlled to the advantage, of course, of the record label executives. And, the young artists, they get exploited so badly. And then like JoJo came out with music when she was 13. She started her music career. She got into this contract that was X amount of years long. She did really well her first album, and then I don't know at what point, maybe she had 2 albums out that did well, but then the label basically stopped putting out her music. So she was writing music and they just wouldn't put anything out, and she's under contract, so she can't just do stuff on her own at this point. So she's basically enslaved. She can't do music. I mean, she's out of the contract now, but it was years of her taking them to court and trying to get out of that deal. And this was her passion. This is what she loved to do, and she couldn't do that for years out of her life because she was under a contract with these people. And it's so sad because all those years she could never get back. All of those years that she could have still been putting out music and living her dream, she had to basically just, I don't know what she did for a living. Maybe she got royalties from the music she had previously done. But it's so sad how people just will chew you up and spit you out like that, and then keep you under them so you can't even go out and live your own life. It's really sad. And so when I hear all these stories, maybe back then it was like, that was the thing I always thought I would do, and I would never do anything else. And now it's like I can still make music on my own and put it out. And I'm just glad because I'm so much more aware now that if I ever were to get into a situation where I was being offered, a contract or something like that, I'd be a lot wiser. And back then, my family would have tried to help me figure things out, but I don't know that it would have been as useful because none of them are in the industry or, modeling. I didn't start modeling until I was 18, which I hear about stories now, with the whole Me Too movement and women, young girls and boys being, just not only exploited, but of course, violated. And even though I was still wise enough, and I even saying that, I was in some situations where I'm like, I can't believe I didn't, get sold into sex slavery or something, because there were a few times where I was like, ooh, I should not have gone there by myself. Most of the time, though, I brought people with me. And one time, this is actually not for modeling, this is for music, I met this guy who supposedly had this band, this Calypso band. I met him at a restaurant first time around. Second time around, he wanted me to come to his house. This was an old, middle-aged man, probably early 50s, and this was, so the second time I'm supposed to meet up with him, he invited me to his house to see, I guess to talk more and show me the equipment and all that stuff, which is why, have me come to practice. I don't need to in your house, right? So I brought a friend with me. So the second time I brought my cousin with me, and my cousin sat in the living room while that guy talked to me. And there was one part that was weird. He was saying sometimes, or what was it? He had musical equipment in his shed, and he told me I can go look at it, which I thought was weird because it's why? I don't need to go and see it. It's fine. I know what musical instruments look like. But I was really also very much polite And so I went back there by myself, though. He didn't come with me. I just went back there by myself. And in the back of my head, I'm thinking, like, this is weird. Like, why is he having me go back here? And I think I thought we were going to, like, actually play some music or something, and we didn't. And my cousin and I ended up leaving there, and I was like, okay, that was weird, whatever. But still, like, not trusting my intuition enough. Like, trusting it enough to know to bring someone, but not trusting it enough to be like, this is. So then the third time I brought a friend with me, and we show up, and he literally starts foaming at the mouth, and he's like at first he starts talking like whatever about like, oh, okay, so I'm gonna show you this, that, and the other, and he interrupts himself and starts foaming at the mouth and telling me my friend has to wait in the car. It was the creepiest thing ever. I was like, no, he's not waiting in the car. Anything that you want to say in front of me, you could say in front of him. And I was like, he's like, well, if you don't trust me enough to be here without him, then you should just leave or something like that. And I'm paraphrasing because this was so long ago. And I was like, okay, bye. Like, what a weirdo, right? Like, can you imagine? So then fast forward to, I don't know how long after, like maybe a year later, I don't even remember. I was just randomly at a party in PB, and there was this older man playing music, and I don't remember if he had a clip. He might have actually had a clip with him or something like that. Anyway, I think I start singing or whatever. We're all having a good time, and then like we start chatting, and he's an older man too, like probably in his 50s as well. And somehow like the other guy's name comes up, and I tell him briefly about like, that guy wanted me to be in his band, but it got like weird and whatever. And he's like, oh my gosh, like I've heard other women say that too. Like he seems like bad news, stay away from him. And I was like, oh my gosh. And so I'm like, I can see how like these types of things happen to people, just being exploited, being taken advantage of, because when you're young, you just are, you don't want to like ruin your opportunities, quote unquote. And the older people will take advantage of the fact that you're starry-eyed, and you want to be successful, and they'll sell you pipe dreams, and then you don't want to rock the boat or make anyone upset or get blacklisted, so you go along with things. And luckily I was smart enough to never go along with anything that I was uncomfortable with, but there were a few times where I was like, I shouldn't even have gone this far, like if I had better sense of trusting my own intuition, I would have stopped right away. Like after first meeting, getting a weird vibe, I would not have gone back to meet with that person. And now I'm wiser. And so just like seeing the things people do for money, like you're saying on Instagram, but then also understanding too that like a lot of them get kind of like pulled into these things that they don't really want to be doing because they're focused on getting money. And then for a lot of people, it's like coercion, it's, them being naive, them really thinking they don't have other options. And it's really sad. And you're right, what happens if you don't have skills and intelligence, you'll just do whatever you need to do. And then, you have all these traumas to tend with later in your life because you're so focused on, you either focused on getting money so much that you just did whatever you needed to do to get it, or you got put in situations you really shouldn't have been in.